I live for the nights I can't remember with the people that I won't forget. Who knows this Drake line? I really love the song and I really love Drake. And by the way, while I was quickly searching for that quote because I wanted to say it correctly, I found that Drake is a very big fan of a tequila seltzer called Onda, which is also, by the way, founded by Shay Mitchell, greatest and most beautiful woman of all times. He's probably really feeling this line, but I have to say, I don't. I don't like these nights where I know I had great conversations, but then the next day I only remember like 30 to 50% of it. And of course, there are great people you have these conversations with, and sometimes they are really close to you, and you know you have some good times with them also when you're sober or not drinking. But then there are other nights where you meet new people and you have a great night together, but then with not really remembering their words, you also at some point forget this whole person. And I think that's a pity, and that's why I just wanted to take this chance today and record an episode to speak about my journey to mindful drinking and what mindful drinking in general means and what it not means. So I think we have these misconceptions a little bit about mindful drinking and sobriety and sober curious and all that stuff. And I really want to show you what it can bring you and what it really means to make these decisions to be more mindful with your body, because it's the cheat code. Okay, so let's get started. I would like to start by saying you don't have to reach rock bottom to make that decision to change something. It's enough to just see that you're not exactly thriving, that there are sometimes situations in your life where you would need a little bit more of a solid foundation in yourself and a little bit more tactics and tools to handle situations in which you would like to grab a drink because it's just the easiest way. So mindful drinking isn't about giving up fun or anything or just having a really boring life. It's about feeling amazing and living life to the fullest. It's about saying yes to health and to taking that gym class on Sunday morning. It's about epic nights that you can actually remember because you were fully present, or at least, I'm with all of that, I'm explaining what I mean with mindful drinking, and I'm not saying cut out the alcohol completely. I'm just saying find that sweet spot that will allow you to have a great night, but then also a morning where you can be proud of yourself and you're doing the things that you are planning to do and feel relaxed and feel energized and refreshed the next day. It's more about really saying no to unhealthy coping mechanisms and people that talk you into drinking another beer and another one, and then not feeling like you did the decision for yourself, but like you were sort of controlled by the outside, which is not something that we want, right? And you might be thinking, I don't have a drinking problem. I'm just drinking like everybody else. And that's okay. I think we all have to reconsider a little bit what we think is normal, because all of that is just very deeply ingrained in our society. But to define what is normal and what is addiction and what is still in the gray zone, I think that depends on your decision and your discernment. If you decide for yourself you want to have more energy, more clarity, and more time to pursue your passions, and you have at least a little bit of that courage in yourself to take on that step and maybe raise some eyebrows from people around you, but you just don't care because you're like, I'm my only person. I don't care about anyone else. I only do what's best for me as long as I don't harm anyone. So very long introduction, but mindful drinking is not about never touching alcohol. It's really about being intentional, aware, and present in your choices. And isn't that such a nice and empowering feeling? And I think it all starts with understanding why you drink and what you drink and how it affects you. And sometimes break free from societal expectations and create a drinking pattern that really aligns with your values and goals. And I did that for myself. In the past, I was like everyone else. I was enjoying alcohol on the weekends, sometimes during the week, but mostly it was focused on the weekend. And sometimes I think we only drank because we didn't know what else to do, which is so sad when you think about it. But then I had some pretty bad accidents and injuries, and it was like my body was telling me something. That all led to me really thinking about, was it worth it? Was that night out worth going to several doctors, having like these worries on my mind that I knew something is just not right with my body, and I now have to deal with the consequences, and it's my full responsibility. And I think really taking this responsibility and ownership of your decisions is just key. Also on the psychological level, I experienced a lot of loneliness after nights of going out. Sometimes even when I was walking home and I was just like, this is all so fucked up. This can't be it. That's not what I signed up for. Now I even feel worse than before, which is a completely normal reaction from your body. Your body is struggling to get back the balance, which comes along with these hormonal and neurotransmittal reactions in your body. And I always felt regretful the next day, like on Sundays when my brain was just so foggy and I fought to go to my gym class, but I really felt so bad and I ate a lot. I was really agitated. And so yeah, I realized this is the area in my life that I hadn't really explored yet. I explored so much about nutrition and sports and the relationships and all things that go into this psychological area. I'm really such a fan of understanding yourself and others better. But this one area I kind of ignored. Maybe I didn't want to look at it because I knew if I take that stone and look beneath it, maybe I want to cover it again because there's just a lot of stuff you don't want to have a look at. I just want to convey that it's really about this consciousness and realizing the impact that alcohol can have on our relationships with ourselves and with our body. Is it really worth to have this like extra baggage the next day or even sometimes the next days after a night out that makes you just in your judgment? I think that was a lot for me. So yeah, I was always working in the restaurants business and I stood behind a bar quite often. I really loved to serve people and to make people feel at home, and I enjoyed this community and meeting new people and getting in touch with all kinds of people, making jokes and be that social butterfly that gets money for bringing foods and drinks. I really, really loved that. I love being a waiter. Then I also went into building up an online shop for biological and biodynamically produced wine. And in that regard, I mostly enjoyed the time where we had wine and dine experiences, and I was able to speak to people and share my passion and speak about the interesting winemakers that we poured the wine from. So I always had this hospitality mentality. And by the way, that's why I also feel like it is so important that there are alternatives for guests that don't want to drink wine or alcohol in general. Because if you are really a service-oriented restaurant or bar, it is your mission and your only and most important goal to make your guests happy, because eventually that will bring you business, and then that will also benefit you. So I really don't get it if restaurants don't cater to the needs of their guests, and if they make it your problem when you have some sort of wish, like, can I leave that out, or can I add this, or do you have maybe an alternative for this or that? And I found that there are really not a lot of products that are fulfilling my needs of having a low alcohol beverage. So I started experimenting with recipes that just have lower alcohol, and I even mixed rosé wine that has alcohol in it and rosé wine that is de-alcoholized to have like that low version of it. Now there are options on the market, I know, but back then it was the only option for me. And then the deeper I dug into the topic, the more I also saw the downsides of drinking on people in my environment. As I said, I also have someone very close to me in my family that abuses alcohol, which is just something that I don't want for anyone to happen. And I saw a lot of people in the wine business that really simply drink too much. I started to do something for children that have to deal with alcohol addicted parents and children in general. They are mostly like 7th grade, and schools are just inviting us to explain to children all kinds of addictions and how they can prevent and prepare for the effects of it. So it's just like this knowledge that we bring to them, which is really, really interesting and really fulfilling, to be honest. And so back to my story. After a bike accident last year, I decided to not drink for 6 weeks. And I just noticed how much energy I had and how clear my head was and how much better I felt. And how much I really have to deal with the thoughts and feelings that come up when I can't pour them away with alcohol. And that was really like a revelation for me. And then the more I evolved and was looking for more balance in my life with breath work, and I always tried to do meditation, but back then I was really doubling down on it, and other healing modalities and psychic stuff, spiritual stuff. I really dug deep into that, and I started to question why we don't include the way we drink in the bigger picture of our well-being, because it's such a large topic. It's actually, for me, the missing puzzle piece in so many people's lives. Not because it empowers you to break free from stressful situations and be able to cope better with them, but yeah, drinking a little too much meant not so much that it was a serious problem for me, but just sometimes felt out of balance with my own values, and I felt tired the next day, and I had a slightly foggy head. Like, I don't even have the worst hangovers. It's just this like not being completely myself. I think that we often associate the definition of an unbalanced relationship with alcohol with like drinking your cornflakes in the morning with Baileys, or hiding bottles somewhere and then drinking secretly. This is the extreme, and this is a really sad extreme, and this is a place where you don't want to end up because it's really hard to get out there. And it usually means you will never be able to drink again. You just shouldn't do it because your body has reached a level of addiction where there is no turning back. So yeah, let's work on not even getting there. It's a small percentage of the population, but I can tell you from my work with those children, it's 1 out of 10 children that are affected, and this is a problem in our society that nobody really wants to talk about. Yeah, I know how painful it can be, and I think in our society we are just drenched in alcohol. If we're honest, most people probably just drink a little bit too much without realizing it, and that is just simply because we don't have the awareness of our relationship with alcohol, and we oftentimes also don't have the products, and we are not aware that there are really tasty alternatives. Why do we associate alcohol always with fun and celebration and a treat and something beautiful? I talked to a girl yesterday and she was like, yeah, she has this thing to celebrate in her life, like a big milestone that she reached, and everyone was just giving her champagne. And she didn't even want to drink champagne because she's not drinking at all anymore at the moment. So kudos to that, and shout out if you're listening. I think we really have to cut these cords of connecting celebration with champagne or any other sparkling wine. It can be something that you can pour, but why does it have to mean that you have to have a hangover or a headache the next day of a day where you were supposed to feel really, really good because something really great happened in your life? I just think it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. Isn't it the moment of connection? Isn't it the drinking of something delicious and the surrounding that creates the good feeling? I don't think it's the alcohol itself. It's this community and being together and laughing together. Sometimes I think there is something to be said for getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and to tell people, I'm not drinking tonight, or I am starting off with an alcohol-free aperitif, or sometimes you grab a drink just to forget that you just had, I don't know, an argument with your husband, and it's easy to get the next instant dopamine fix to erase the feeling. But does it erase the problem? Probably not. So back to my story. When I started incorporating those mindful practices into my life, I really discovered a sense of clarity and energy and also purpose. And I thought, I want to help other people to feel that too, because it's just like this game changer. I was always looking for connection with other people, deeper, meaningful connection. And I think what you portray on others, you also are looking for in yourself. So I also was looking for that connection to myself. I really gained that by looking inwards, but also defining really clearly what I want and how I want to feel in my body. And I really early in my, teens started to get my relationship with food, because I always had a precondition for IBS, which is really annoying. I really know a lot about nutrition, let's just put it that way. And I listened to my body, and I also had a little bit of an unhealthy eating habit, but that's a different story. But yeah, I really tuned in, and I was really aware of the food that I ate and when I ate and everything. And I just started to bring that same attention to my consumption of alcohol. And I thought, don't I owe it to myself a little bit? Do I want to be the drunk girl or the sloppy girl, or the one that is always having injuries and that nobody really knows where they come from. I just decided I don't want to be that low performing person at work. I don't want to be the woman that looks at her skin and is like, oh, where does that come from? Or like this bloated feeling that probably all women know after drinking alcohol. That is just so much water that is stored in your cells. Also, of course, if you drink a lot and regularly, you also will put on weight. It's just logical because it's all these calories that don't really give you any food, and your body, when you have alcohol in your blood, it will always focus on removing the alcohol from your blood and your body first because it's a toxin, and then focus on everything else, like all the metabolic processes and your immune system and all that. Yeah, so do you want to be a hangry, greasy, pizza eating chick every Saturday or Sunday morning? Or do you want to be a fun person that is in line with his or her values and that is still fun? Because it's just not the either or, it can be both. That's what I really want for you. I really want you to experience the freedom and the joy and the empowerment. And of course, it doesn't make sense to just remove the alcohol and then sit there and be like, okay, now what? Because then you will get bored, I can tell you. But if you find new ways to enjoy yourself and to connect with others and to celebrate life, like a new kind of sport or a new kind of hobby. Like I recently went to ride race biking. I don't know if that's the English word for it. But I'm like, why didn't I discover that earlier? And the answer is because I was standing with a glass of wine in Munich at the Saturday market instead of trying stuff. And I think my biggest concern in life is that there is this kind of sport that I didn't discover yet, and that will be my absolute favorite sport. So I'm really working on preventing that to happen. Just try to find ways to nourish you, like really nourish your mind, your soul, and your senses. And that can be with so many cool things. But of course, it takes this courage to look inwards, to find out what you're actually wanting in life and what not. And sometimes it means to be a little bit lonely and cut out people that don't really serve you anymore. But just think about alcohol as a friend. If alcohol was your friend, would that be a relationship that you would value? Or is it this kind of person that is always there when there is something fun to do? And it's like a roller coaster with this person. Like they pick you up and then you have this great time and you dance and you feel so in the moment and the dopamine is rushing through your body. But then they make like the Polish exit and they're just gone. And then you're like, no, how do I get home? You don't even know where you are. I don't know. Just imagine to have alcohol as your friend. Would you stay in contact with that person, or would you maybe try to see the person less often, or just tone down the relationship maybe a little bit? So let's dive into my practical tools that can help you on your mindful drinking journey. It's really all about awareness in the first place. So I would recommend doing a mental check-in before you reach for that glass of wine or that beer. I always have this check-in where I ask myself how I'm feeling and what I really want to drink. And that sometimes takes a little bit. And I would also recommend, if you go into a bar or into a social setting, just be there and let everything, like all the impressions, just have an effect on you and acclimate to the situation. And then you can decide, and don't get into that rush. Don't let yourself pressure from other people that are like first thing heading to the bar and be like, okay, we're gonna order this or that for everyone, or tell me what you want to drink now. Just be mindful of these situations and just find like easy ways out. You can just tell, no, I'm good. I'm just having a water first and I want to check the place out and check everyone out, say everyone hi, and then I'm going to get myself a drink. But yeah, it's really nothing that you have to justify. We all know that we are on an autopilot and we drink what we always drink and what people will give to us, and it's a sunny day, so of course we are going to have an Aperol Spritz. But yeah, really get into this mode of asking ourselves. It can be like a few seconds where you just ask yourself, do you want the alcohol or the non-alcohol version? Just also maybe not focus on the alcohol, maybe try to incorporate non-alcoholic options. Sometimes they are not even on the menu. I think also the more you ask for them, the more bartenders and bars will in general offer them. It's always demand and offer on the market. And maybe try to mix a little bit of water into your Aperol Spritz, or maybe have the non-alcoholic Aperol version with either the sparkling wine or the aperitif, or mix it. I don't know. I've done all of it and it really works. You don't have to restrict yourself or deprive yourself of anything. It's really about being self-determined and to realize that you can have fun and that you can socialize without alcohol. It will probably be even better because you are more aware, you have access to much more of your brain power. Just try to ask yourself, am I drinking to celebrate or am I drinking to escape? And if it's the latter, it might be a good idea to choose the either non-alcoholic option or do something else, like maybe go for a quick run or do another mindful practice in between, or just try to center yourself. You don't have to forbid anything. You have to add. It can be all kinds of reasons why we sometimes drink. We drink because we are hungry, or we drink because we are lonely, or we have had a stressful day at work. It just doesn't remove the root cause. And the next day, or your endorphins and your body have to recover. And it will make the lonely feeling or the stressful feeling even worse and longer. So just try to find the story that you're telling yourself about the role of alcohol in a special occasion and see for yourself if it's the right motivation to drink. And for that, I created a workbook that I can recommend. I usually just have that in my iPhone notes to quickly make like this note. It takes like a few seconds. You can download it from my page. It's a Word document. I'll post the link to the show notes. And then what I would recommend is to just copy that and put it into your notes. And it will give you this tracker of how does each of the drinks that you drink make you feel and what are the pros and cons of it. And it all starts with that. All starts with awareness. And another tip is step out of your known area and explore the world of non-alcoholic beverages. And that is also what my drink of the week section is for. I'm always trying new stuff and give you the best of it. And there are so many delicious options available these days. We're also having an interview that I will probably post that next week, from the first alcohol-free and low alcohol pop-up store in Vienna that is opening in August. So there are options, there are no excuses, and you might really be surprised. And then what we had discussed before in the podcast, also zebra striping, just alternate your drinks, like one with alcohol and then the next one without alcohol, then with alcohol and without alcohol. there are just these simple steps to reduce the total intake of alcohol at the end of the night. And I talked to a woman the day before yesterday, and she said she had this experience with her son, and her son is 25, so typical Generation Z. And he was like, "Mom, why are you drinking that glass of wine although we are leaving in 10 minutes?" And for her, it was like the most logical step to drink before she leaves, because the drink is already there, it's already poured, it's probably already paid for. And it was so logical for her to drink it up. I think this is also like this generational thing. You don't waste stuff, which I think is a great, great, great idea. But on the other hand, does it really serve anyone if you drink the wine or if you pour it away because you know you're not getting any more benefits of it? It was really refreshing for her to get that perspective of her son, because her son is like very mindful with drinking. That is very typical for that generation. Yeah, we can really learn from the younger generations. They are really doing something right. And another concept that we all know when we think about business is diminishing returns. And the returns of like the benefits of you drinking more, they decrease with increased drinks. Just think of that. Think of your body like a company. And at first, it can be useful. The first and the second drink, I think they're always giving you a good feeling, and I totally get that. But then the more you drink, does it really help you getting more of that feeling or less? And yeah, we are definitely in a transition phase where this whole category of drinks is definitely evolving and growing. With us talking to bars and restaurants and get them to offer more options, help them understand that there is demand is so crucial. Because if there are no options, then my whole work is also getting a little bit more difficult. But I also agree that we have a long way to go. But I can encourage you. There are so many mindful drinking people out there that you don't even realize. We all want to be part of the collective, and we want to feel accepted and appreciated in our tribe. That is like the most normal wish of us as people. But just open your mind and your eyes for people that think alike and that are also exploring this world and want to enjoy and want to drink less, be more in touch with their bodies. And those people are there. So my invitation for you, ask for those drinks. Don't be shy. Just be that empowered and sophisticated person that asks for his or her needs, as you would do in any other aspect of your life as well. Don't be a people pleaser. What I'm really passionate about is helping people rethink their relationship with alcohol and discover the joy of mindful drinking and of just appreciating that we are looking for a community. That's where we are feeling valued. It's not the drinks that make that, it's us who make it. And that's why I'm also creating a program that integrates mindful drinking practices into all kinds of settings. At the moment, it's mostly events and tastings and pop-up things. So if you're interested in learning more about mindful drinking, I invite you to check out my services. It's on my website. And yeah, as said, it ranges from wine pairings for events to workshops, but also retreats. I would love to accompany a retreat that has this focus on mindfulness and awareness, and a big part of that is mindful drinking. Other than that, check out my LinkedIn and my Instagram account. grape.journey. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube if you wish. And yeah, let's just create this world together where mindful drinking and being in touch with your own needs is the norm and not the exception. And where we can just celebrate life, make conscious decisions, connect with others on a deeper and meaningful level, and just feel like our greatest, our best version. And with that, I wish you a wonderful rest of the week. Until next time.